Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Armageddon. Today we're going to be featuring a Brawl deck with Kalain, Reclusive Painter as our commander, as part of our series of Brawl videos featuring commanders from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Kalain makes a treasure when she enters, and while she is in play, other creatures we control enter with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each treasure spent to cast them. The strategy of this deck, then, is to make a lot of treasures and cast lots of creatures with those treasures. Let's look at the deck now, starting with our treasure generators. At 1 mana, Forsworn Paladin has an activated ability to make a treasure at the cost of 1 life, and can also buff a creature, giving it Death Touch if a treasure was used to activate this ability. Beamtown Beatstick and Prying Blade both make treasures when the creature equipped with them hits the opponent, while Diamond Pickaxe makes a treasure when the creature equipped with it attacks. Ragavan Nimble Pilferer makes treasures and lets us cast the opponent's spells when he hits the opponent, while Strike It Rich is a cheap way to make treasure and can be flashed back. At 2 mana, Horde Robber makes a treasure when it hits the opponent, as does a creature equipped with Gold Vein Pick. Treasure Dredger makes treasures at the cost of life, while Generous Plunderer can make each player a treasure and damages the opponent equal to the number of artifacts they control when it attacks. Vault Robber can make a treasure by exiling creatures from our graveyard, while Treasure Map can scry, eventually making 3 treasures and turning into Treasure Cove, a land that can sacrifice treasures to draw cards. At 3 mana, Black Market Connections can make a treasure at the cost of life at the beginning of our first main phase. It can also draw extra cards or make shapeshifters as well, while Warren Soul Trader can make treasures by sacrificing other creatures. Then, Aspiring Sky Pirate, aka Captain Lennery Storm, makes a treasure when he attacks, and gets a buff to his power whenever we sacrifice a treasure, while the Goblin Shaman from Fable of the Mirror Breaker also makes a treasure when it attacks. Fable eventually flips into Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, which can copy our other non-legendary creatures. Professional Facebreaker makes a treasure when our creatures hit the opponent, and can sacrifice treasures to exile cards from the top of our library and let us play them until end of turn, while Crucius, Titan of the Waves, makes a treasure if we discard a card, and when we do, we seek a non-land card, choosing one of either a higher or lower mana value than the discarded card. Grim Hireling makes 2 treasures when our creatures hit the opponent, and can sacrifice treasures to act as removal, while Pitiless Plunderer makes a treasure whenever one of our other creatures dies. Trove of Temptation makes a treasure at the beginning of our end step, and forces the opponent to attack us each turn, while Atsushi the Blazing Sky can either exile cards for us to play or create 3 treasures when they die. Decadent Dragon makes a treasure when it attacks, and has an adventure, Expensive Taste, that steals the top 2 cards of the opponent's library and lets us play them, including lands, while Prosper Tomebound, exiles the top card of our library end of turn, and while Prosper is in play, he makes a treasure whenever we play a card from exile. If we untap with Bonehorde Dracosaur, we exile 2 cards off the top of our library and can play them until end of turn, and depending on what we exile, the Dracosaur makes dinosaur tokens or treasures, while Gold Span Dragon makes a treasure when it attacks or is the target of a spell, and while it is in play, doubles how much mana our treasures make. We can choose 3 different modes when we cast Season of the Bold, between making tapped treasures, exiling cards that we can play until the end of our next turn, or dealing damage to creatures when we cast spells. When Rankle and Torbrand hit the opponent, we can choose between having each player make a treasure, each player sacrifice a creature, or sources deal extra damage to players this turn. Since Rankle and Torbrand have first strike, This means that if they hit the opponent, our other attacking creatures deal extra damage to the opponent during the regular damage phase. Ancient Copper Dragon can make a ton of treasures when it hits the opponent, while Brass's Bounty makes a number of treasures equal to the number of lands we control. Next is our interaction. All our treasures make it easy for us to enable Revolt on Fatal Push, while Bitter Triumph and Sholdred's Edict can answer Planeswalkers. Go for the Throat, Heartless Act, Infernal Grasp, and Shoot the Sheriff all destroy creatures at instant speed, while Dragon Spark Reactor picks up charge counters when artifacts, including treasures, enter under our control, and can be sacrificed to deal damage to a creature equal to the number of charge counters on it. Withering Torment can also destroy enchantments, while Plundering Barbarian can destroy an artifact or make a treasure when it enters. The new side quest Hunt the Mark from Final Fantasy destroys a creature when it enters, and makes a treasure end of turn if an opposing creature died. It transforms into Yasmat, Ultimate Mark, a resilient threat, if we control 3 treasures end of turn. We also have a couple of board wipes. Blood Money destroys all creatures and makes the number of treasures equal to the number of non-token creatures destroyed, while Spiteful Banditry can wipe the board and makes treasures once each turn when opposing creatures die. Next are our payoffs for making or sacrificing treasures. Tarion Soul Cleaver puts +1/+1 counters on the creature equipped with it whenever another creature or artifact dies, which includes sacrificing treasures, while Gixian Infiltrator, the new Lightless Evangel from Edge of Eternities, and Yuri Master of the Review pick up +1/+1 counters whenever we sacrifice treasures or other permanents. Underhanded Designs drains the opponent when artifacts we control, including treasures, enter, and can be sacrificed to destroy a creature if we control at least 2 artifacts, while Oni Cult Anvil makes a construct token once each turn when an artifact we control leaves the battlefield on our turn. The Anvil can also be tapped to sacrifice an artifact, draining the opponent when it does. The new Albad Salvagers from Final Fantasy and the new Susurian Voidborn from Edge of Eternities drain the opponents when our creatures or artifacts die, including when we sacrifice treasures, while Crime Novelist picks up +1/+1 counters and adds red mana whenever we sacrifice artifacts. The new Weft Stalker Ardent from Edge of Eternities pings the opponent whenever creatures or artifacts, including treasures, enter under our control, while Zorn makes an additional treasure whenever we make treasures. Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target whenever either player sacrifices a permanent, while finally, Mirkwood Bats pings the opponent whenever we create or sacrifice tokens, namely, treasures. Our final category consists of some miscellaneous value cards. Pro Mox can lead to explosive starts, while Mox Amber is a perfect ramp artifact in a deck with a cheap commander. There and Back Again is a saga that ramps us on the 2nd chapter and creates Smaug on the 3rd chapter. When Smaug dies, we get 14 treasures, while Dream Shaper Shaman lets us sacrifice any non-land permanent in order to put non-land permanents from our library directly onto the battlefield. We have lots of dual lands that mostly enter untapped, along with all of the fetch lands on Arena that can search up mountains or swamps, including dual lands such as Blood Crypt, Canyon Slough, or Raucous Theater. Our utility lands include Barad-dûr to make Orc Army tokens when creatures die, Castle Locthwain for card draw, Hive of the Eye Tyrant, Den of the Bugbear, and Restless Vents as creature lands, and Takenuma Abandoned Mire and Sokenzin Crucible of Defiance, which can be channeled to act as spells. We also have Arena of Glory, which can be exerted to give creatures haste, and Mines of Moria, Fountain Port, the new Gold Saucer from Final Fantasy, and Treasure Vault as lands that can make treasures. So that's our Kalain deck. Now it's time to take it into the queue and play some games. On the play, all of our lands come into play tapped, at least until we get Kalain or another legendary creature down, so our hand is kind of slow to get going. Wouldn't mind some interaction. I think we'll take our free mulligan. Alright, we still have 3 lands, and these can come into play untapped. Still don't have interaction, but I think this is fine. Looks like opponent going for some life gain synergies with Leyline of Hope. And we can play Kalain on 2, ramp out Atsushi on turn 3. Atsushi will be important to fly over all of the shrine creature tokens opponent will be making. So we'll fetch Raucous Theater here. I already have the Voidborn, so I think we'll discard Elbed Salvadors, look for interaction. Going Horde Dracosaur is nice. Let's fetch Mountain. And we'll play our commander. Opponent has Sithis. I think it's still Atsushi here. I'd use some removal for Sithis. Not drawing a land was unfortunate. I'll play the Voidborn. I won't bother warping it in. Opponent doesn't have a turn 3 play. They could play their commander, and they do. There's land 4. And then hoping to hit land 5 for Rankle and Torbrand, which we can haste in. Well, we do hit land 5, but it's a tap land. So it's a good thing we've got Atsushi and Rankle and Torbrand. Let's play Mayhem Devil. And it's a good thing opponent doesn't have a way of gaining life when creatures enter. That's unfortunate. I was hoping to ping Sithis with Mayhem Devil. But there's no way I'll be able to... Opponent doesn't attack. I guess they don't have great attacks. They will be able to go wide and attack on the ground with all their 1/1s. I think it's still Rankle and Torbran here. And then I think we'll deal extra damage. And that's enough for our opponent. Alright. So they mustn't have had answers for our flyers, so even though they were going up the ground, we were still going to be able to finish the job in the air. On we go. On the play, only 2 lands. Although I've got early plays, Kalain can make a treasure to ramp. My only interaction are board wipes, and they're pretty expensive to enable. I think we'll take our free mulligan, look for 3 lands. Alright. We've got Chrome Mox, some interaction, and 3 lands, so I think this is keepable. And then what to exile with Chrome Mox? I think it's Plundering Barbarian. We'll play Kalain. Opponent leads with tap land. And then I think I will spend a treasure to cast Generous Plunderer here. Play tap land. And conveniently, sacrificing land gives Gixian Infiltrator a counter. We'll fetch basic mountain. And then do I destroy the Wandering Minstrel here? That does let me get in with Kalain. But I think we'll save Withering Torment for a bigger problem. Like something that could get in the way of the Infiltrator or Generous Plunderer. Elvish Mystic is fine. Alright, I guess I'm destroying Scroll of Isildur with Withering Torment. Opponent's only at level 1 of the Ring Tempting, so I can block with Kalain here. I don't really need to make a treasure, and I think probably don't want to ramp up the opponent, so even though it would mean Generous Plunderer would deal more damage, I think I'll decline to make a treasure. And that's enough for opponents. Alright. I'll take it. On we go. On the play, we've got turn 1 Ragavan, Shoulder's Edict. That'll be important to answer Garnet, because she can get out of hand pretty quickly. Grey Master of the Review. I think this is keepable. Could also wait until turn 2 to play Ragavan in order to dash him. But it's more efficient to play Ragavan turn 1. We'll have to play Sulphurous Springs. Turn 1 Ragavan on the play always feels good. Opponent leads with tap lands, so Ragavan will get in unopposed. I guess we'll wait and see what Ragavan hits. Exiles land. And then I think we'll play Yuri here. Opponent plays Garnet. We'll use Shouldered's Edict. And that's enough for our opponent. Alright, on we go. On the play, we've been pretty lucky to be on the play every game so far. Rematch against Goshen Tie of Life's Origin. I think we'll try this. We've got Treasure Map to scry towards more action, Black Market Connections as a consistent way of making treasures and drawing cards. We'll scry with Temple of Malice. I'll keep Fatal Push, which between our treasures and our fetch land we can easily enable Revolt. Opponent timing out here. They did keep their hand. Oh, here we go. Alright, I was getting a little concerned there. I think we lead with Kalain. Alright, so I can enable Revolt on Fatal Push, but there'll be no need. Opponent plays Sylvan Tutor to find Sanctum Weaver. Generous Plunderer. I think it's still Black Market Connections. There's Sanctum Weaver. Let's draw, make a treasure. Crucius. I think we want to play Voiceborn normally. Play Generous Plunderer with one treasure. Could also warp Voidborn in, but I prefer. And then we'll fetch Basic Mountain. Opponent with Voidborn. Play Generous Plunderer, and then we still have Fatal Push with Revolt enabled. And we'll enable Revolt to kill Go Shintai. I don't think I want to ramp opponent. So even though that would mean being able to get in for a bit more damage, I could also maybe just the once. Alright, we'll do one time. Alright, would have liked to have drawn land. I think we'll play Grim Harling normally. And if I want to use Grim Harling's ability, I have to activate it as a sorcery. I think we'll kill Sanctum Weaver here. Opponent plays land tax. But they also play the Weather Seed Treaty, so they have more lands on the battlefield than I do. And even if I draw and play land, we'll have the same number of lands, so land tax isn't doing anything. Opponent still has 1 mana. They don't have anything to do. At least they choose not to do anything. I think we won't make another treasure. Ragavan. Could dash in Ragavan. We'll draw a card, make a treasure. Draw land, that's great. Alright, so let's see here. If I dash in Ragavan, it'll be a 3/2 if I spend a treasure. I kill opponent. 3, 6, 9. I can. We also get the Saurian Voidborn triggers. We'll get rid of the blocker. And there we go. Alright. So you can see how good Black Market Connections is in this strategy, making treasures turn after turn and drawing extra cards. We probably could have made shapeshifters as well, but you do have to be careful since it's not optional to choose a mode and lose life with Black Market Connections, so you don't want to go overboard. Anyway, that'll do it. On we go. Finally on the draw. still have a turn 1 Ragavan. And I've got removal to clear a path for Ragavan. Hearthold the World Seed is capable of winning out of nowhere once they've put at least 8 charge counters on it, because if they have a way of sacrificing all their lands, it can just do a ton of damage. But it does take a little while to get going, so if we can get off to a quick enough start, I think we should be able to have a shot. Blood Money, not sure how good that'll be in this matchup, although opponent needs at least some creatures in order to station their spacecraft. Alright, opponent plays Wastes. That's an interesting land for a 3-color deck. We draw more removal. But opponent doesn't have a play, so Ragavan gets in unopposed. I could cast Perilous Iteration, but I think I'd rather get Black Market Connections down. Because it's likely I'd have to discard the card with mana value 3 or greater. Opponent hovering over Ragavan. So it's possible they've drawn removal. Kick Sprouting Goblin. So that'll help them hit their land drops. Find Cinderglade. We'll draw and make a treasure. Let's clear Sprouting Goblin out of the way. Okay, with Ragavan. Pest Infestation. We'll play our commander here. Interesting that opponent fetched Cinderglade. I guess they didn't need an untapped land. We'll draw, make a treasure. Grim Harling. Could be useful. Let's see, can I play at Sushi? Play an equip. I can't play at Sushi and play an equip turn beat stick. Although I guess I can play beat stick, equip it, and then play at Sushi because I make a treasure, 2 treasures. We'll give Ragavan Menace. The land. But Sushi's going to be pretty big here. Opponent has untapped land. Plays Binding the Old Gods. I'm making plenty of treasure with black market connections, so we'll exile 2 cards, but that's enough for opponent. Alright. On we go. On the play, only 2 lands, so I think this is a mulligan. It's otherwise not a bad hand, but I kind of want to look for 3 lands, and we get a free mulligan, so there's no harm in doing so. Alright, this is only 1 land, so we definitely have to mulligan. So we're going to 6. If I had 2 more hands, lands, this would be fine. Alright, we can keep this. And then what to bottom? I think it's Mirkwood Bats. I mean, the ping can be useful, but I've got other ways of pinging opponents. Alright, opponent's impatient. We'll scry. I'll take land. Opponent leads with an equipment, makes sense. Opponent leads with Batterbone. We'll play Bardur. Don't really need more land. I think I'll ramp out Decadent Dragon. We'll hit for 1 with Kalain. Although maybe I want to ramp out Goldspan Dragon next turn. Goldspan Dragon, ramping out a Goldspan Dragon with haste, I think does have more upside. So we'll hold up Decadent Dragon, Fatal Push. I guess in that case, I should have held Kalain back, because opponent can hit me for 1 with Batterbone. Opponent plays a bunch of cheap equipment. Stormbeacon Blade could be interesting. Oh. I didn't pay enough attention to see that Dragon Skull Summit came into play tapped. So that was a mistake. Opponent plays Cloud. So with Cloud they can fetch some high impact equipment. Sword of Wealth and Power. Equips Cloud with Lava Spur Boots. They don't really have attacks. They attack anyway. Well, they're tapped out, so we'll block. We hit opponent for 9. And then I guess we'll play Stormbeacon Blade. Opponent has Ward 1. On second thought, let's just... Better safe than sorry. We'll, just in case opponents got removal for Goldspan Dragon or something, we'll keep both treasures so that we can still pay for Ward even if opponent removes Goldspan Dragon. I'm going to equip Soul Stealer Axe. Taps out. We'll just let them go to attackers. And the good thing we kept the other treasure, because I'd forgotten that Cloud doubles triggered effects like Ward. Alright, and that's enough for opponents. Alright. So next turn we would have been able to play Stormbeacon Blade, equip it to something, and draw a card, because we would have been attacking with 3 creatures. So that would have been pretty good. Anyway, that'll do it. Let's take a look at the deck. Alright, so that was our Kalain deck. Kalain obviously not the most powerful commander, but since she does have an immediate impact when she enters by making a treasure, that's always good. And then getting that treasure allows you to ramp out a 4-drop on turn 3, as long as your lands all come into play untapped. And if that's a creature, it picks up a +1/+1 counter, and that was pretty helpful a couple of times with Atsushi the Blazing Sky and Decadent Dragon, as we saw in our games. Anyway, there are lots of different ways of building a Kalain deck. Obviously, you want to emphasize making treasures and having creatures to ramp out with the treasures to pick up +1/+1 counters. But there are lots of cards on Arena that make treasures, so you're not limited to what I built. I just felt that this was an optimal way of building the deck, and it seemed to work out pretty well for us. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. If you'd like to see another commander, maybe from Edge of Eternities, let me know in the comments, and have a good one. Bye.